Hey guys, welcome to Sacred Soulful Sundays with B. Pila. And I'm very excited, but also intrigued by the messages that came in for me this week. Because it seems like alliteration keeps coming up. Last week was the D's and the D's and the D's, the dramas, the disclosure, the discoveries, the design. But this week is all about S, sacred, soulful, Sundays. But the two S's that came in were slavery and sovereignty, which is a reflection of the sign of the times. And for a very, very long time, we have been in this state of development towards transformation, both internally, ourselves, and externally, right? It's almost like a dance, okay? It's almost like a dance between our own transformation and the transformation of our earth and our reality outside of ourselves, correct? So in this dance that we weave, we are awakened to the energies that are happening and why it's happening, right? And if you go back to some of my classes previously, which I hadn't streamed live, but are on the YouTube channel, and I invite you to go back and listen to some of them, we have talked about so many things. We have talked about a 26,000 year cycle that is coming to fruition, that energetically, astrologically, we are entering a new age, a new earth, a new time, a new beginning. And in order for there to be a new beginning, which I spoke about last week, it's kind of like the caterpillar butterfly metaphor, right? The analogy of that the caterpillar must die to become the butterfly, correct? So this is the process. There is a natural process to rebirth, okay? And we go through this cycle over and over again in our lives. In nature, we witness it. And I also mentioned last week, I don't know how many of you were with me last week. I don't remember who attended, but I can tell you that there were several things that I said that I don't know if you remember, but I'm going to repeat them because it's worth bringing them back to your attention. Okay, is that we came here for this moment. Those of us that are here on this planet is not a coincidence. We came here to either witness, okay, we came to witness, we came to participate, or we came to lead through innovation, creativity, and expressing our gifts and talents in whatever way we choose to. And there isn't anything wrong or right with any of those choices. You can choose to be just a witness to this happening that is magnificent, or you can choose to participate in any way, which whether you are just a witness, you're still participating because energetically your vibration influences all. Okay. And through the law of one and unity, which is what we're growing towards, this is the transformation that we're going towards. We will influence the outcome of our collective timelines through our personal vibration. So this is a deep responsibility. I want to emphasize that word, responsibility, because it underlies the sovereignty piece that I'm going to talk about today. Okay, and this is why maybe, I don't know, maybe the angels are bringing, now I just had an aha moment, maybe the angels are bringing these alliterations to me because it makes it easy to remember. And in the chaos and bombardment of information that we receive on a daily basis in our lives, right? It's really hard to remember the rules of the game in an easy way. It's kind of like the way we teach our ABCs to our children, right? We teach them with music, which is such a universal language. We teach them with a song. All of us know A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? No matter what, if you get lost in that alphabet, which is a lot of letters when you're a little kid, you're going to remember what comes after what, because the ABCs have a song, right? So things like alliteration and, all of these help us to remember certain things. So I'm recognizing that that's the reason that this is coming in. So today you're going to remember the S's, just like last week, if I asked you to repeat what I said about the D's, D, 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 that came in, you're going to remember that, I hope. Okay. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. But today's about the S's, and it's only two of them, slavery and sovereignty. And really, they're a reflection. Yes. Soraida, did you raise your hand? Yes, no, yes, no. Open queue. Okay. Yes. No, you did not? That was an accident? Okay. I was like so shocked. Soraida raised her hand. Oh my God. Okay, that's fantastic. All right. All right. So the S's, and I started actually with sovereignty versus slavery, no sé por qué, pero bueno. What does that mean? Okay, it's a reflection of the polarity that we're experiencing at this time. Okay, we're in a moment of extremes, but this moment of extremes is what is needed in order to push us towards where we need to go. Okay. And it's kind of the same way. It's interesting that I mentioned children and the way we teach our children, because we are children of God. Okay. We are children, and we are being pushed out of our comfort zone. Okay. To grow up. That is basically what sovereignty is. It's taking your authority with maturity. In fact, I'm going to read you the definition, okay? Supreme power or authority is sovereignty, okay? And sovereignty is what we are all reaching towards as individuals as well as the collective, okay? We are taking back our authority. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment, because I want you to absorb what that means. It means that we are developing sufficiently in our maturity, just like when a child starts to become an adult. We are becoming mature enough to have our own authority and to leave the shackles of the past of enslavement. Now, why am I saying that? It sounds radical. It sounds intense, right? But we don't really perceive every day how enslaved we are. Okay? We don't. We go about our business every day. We get up in the morning, we go do our jobs, whatever that job is. But at the end of the day, our jobs are part of a system. Our government is part of a system. Our institutions, our religions are part of a system. Our corporations are part of a system. And those systems have created a conditioning within us that produces a degree of enslavement. I know this is big. I mean, I even was debating whether to go into this, because I'm not usually this controversial. But I think I have to say what has to be said. I feel that that's what they're telling me to do. I was this close. And it's funny, the Wi-Fi went down. I had a perfect excuse. I had a perfect excuse to say, maybe we don't talk about this stuff. No, but you know what? It's the elephant in the room, and we've got to talk about it. So I am being courageous like the lion and in the lion's gate, okay, and talking about our enslavement. So what is enslavement? What is slavery? A slave is a person who is forced to work for and obey another and is considered to be the property of another. We all have watched the worst parts of slavery on TV, on Netflix series, on, way back. Does anybody remember Roots? We witness those things and we say we're in horror, actually. It produces a horrific, now, today, think about then and think about now. And would we even allow that level of enslavement to happen in our lives right now? But believe it or not, there's still such a degree of that today. I mean, and I'm not even going to go into sex trafficking and human trafficking and all of the things that still exist on this planet that are so horrific and so disgusting to look at that we really don't want to look at these things, but they really exist. But I want you to understand that this is part of an old paradigm that must die. Okay? And that death is a transformative process that we are going through collectively. We are maturing to a place in which we take back our authority. But when we take back our authority, when we have the authority or the sovereignty to be the human beings we must be, to be in unity and love consciousness, which is what this age is all about. We have to do this with responsibility. It's kind of like when we let our children become adults or they become adults, there is a moment, right? Those of us who have children, there is a moment where your child becomes an adult. And you hope for the best. You hope that they have sufficient amount of maturity to handle the chaos of the world and make order out of it, and to live as responsible adults, correct? So this is exactly what we're doing too, believe it or not. Because while you are a slave, you don't have to think. You just do. You just respond to the system. You go, you do something, you get paid, you use it to pay all the other things. I don't know about you, but I believe the cables in your house is an enslavement. Every day there's another thing that you have to buy, right? I want to watch this. No, you got to pay for that. I don't want to watch this other thing. No, that's not part of your plan, right? So it's almost like this, before you know it, you're paying for something else, right? And can I ask you something? How do you get out of that? It's almost like, okay, do I get off the grid? Do I rebel against the system? Do I not pay for that because I'm not? But that's kind of like feels like cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? It seems silly what I just used as a reference for your acknowledgement, but there's a degree of enslavement to that. And we are all enslaved in the system. Would it be possible for us to not be? Could we all agree that there is enough on this planet to provide for all of us? Yes, we are many, many, many millions more people than we used to be. But do you believe that nature in all its glory cannot provide for all? Do you believe in abundance? Do you believe that there's no lack, that there's no scarcity, that all of the scarcity and the lack is a creation of the system? Could it be possible that that would be true? Right? I know this is deep shit. Sorry, Evelyn, I said the word. Okay. I know this is deep and I know it's a lot, but listen, I'm just following instructions. This is what came through. And it's in order for you to contemplate and take a moment this Sunday to think about the positioning that you are in. Are you in a position of sufficient spiritual awakening to take on the responsibility and the authority of your own sovereignty? And are you willing to accept any consequences for that? Because it's scary. It's scary. And I see Florinda shaking her head and she understands me very clearly. It's scary. Because to do so, and I'm going to try not to get emotional about this, to do so takes courage. Takes courage. Why? Because when we take back our own sovereignty and we decide what we want to do, how we want to do it, and we don't allow anything to dictate to us what we don't believe in our hearts, at this level of spiritual vibration and density that we're in, what happens by default is temptation comes in. Temptation to fall back into someone making the decision for us. And this is very evident in our 2024 life right now. We will look back on this year and we will say, wow, that was a ride, right? Because it's almost as if we have to choose between polarities and we don't like either one. But this is the choice that we're given. This is it. It's like, you want chicken or chicken, right? This is how I feel. Okay, I guess I'll take chicken, right? So it's such a reflection, such a mirror for what is happening inside of ourselves as well. Okay? Are we brave enough, courageous enough to leave enslavement behind? How many of those films in which you've watched slavery have you seen the slave want to rebel and suffer the consequences? Either they get lynched, they get beaten, they get whipped. You know, how many of those movies have we seen and we have emotionally connected to that human being and said, poor thing, oh my God, poor thing. And how many times have we felt that rage of fear? You know, we're so scared to speak our truth. We're so scared to be beaten by the system that we don't take steps to empower ourselves and take back our authority. But when we do so, if we are capable, if we are courageous enough, if we stand up against this idea that we know is wrong or that is incorrect in our growth as human beings, Okay, because we are always bound by our own consciousness. Unless you're a narcissist, a psychopath, or some kind of, you know, weird phenom that does not belong in a community, right? Which we have a lot of those. I'm not going to say we don't, right? You feel and know what is right. You know it, but sometimes we ignore it and we go back to being children in our immaturity and want someone to just make the decision for us. Just, you know, and then what happens is that we don't take that leap of growth and expansion in our sovereignty. Okay? So are we victims? Are we victims or not? Are we ready? Because what's happening is that our systems are broken. I think we can all agree, right, at this point, that our systems are broken. Am I right? Our systems, like think about all our systems, you know, the governmental system, the institute, oh, listen, I'm going to bring one up that is a disaster, and that is our education system. Our education system is completely and utterly broken, all the way from kindergarten through college and above. Okay, it's broken. We are forcing our children to be taught by insignificant, controlled factors. Okay, controlled factors. They don't intend to really teach. They intend to create fear and get you back into the system. So you pay a huge amount of money so that you can have the capacity to be accepted to get a job. Then you'll never pay back the loan. You'll never pay back the loan. So you're enslaved once again in another environment, which is a system called a corporation, right? If you don't fall into that category, okay, you consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself incredibly lucky that you didn't fall into that category. All right? And the movement towards entrepreneurship and sovereignty began, believe it or not, the pandemic changed everything because it gave us a different way of working. Now, let me use that example. Let me use that example as something that represents sovereignty. Because let's say you are now working from home, right? You're working from home. So the corporation or the business owner, whether it's big, small, whether it has hundreds or whether it has 3, okay, is relying on your integrity, your maturity, your responsibility to perform, whether they're watching you or not. And yes, there are companies that have systems in place to look over whether someone is on their computer or not on their computer, but can they really, really, really monitor your integrity? Yes, big pharma is a biggie. That's another lovely system, that the healthcare system. Woo! Talk about broken. Oh my God, Liz. You're absolutely right. Okay. So now you're home and you're doing your work, you know, and the owner or the business or the corporation has to trust that you are a mature, responsible individual doing your thing, right? For them, so that then in turn they can do their thing and pay you, right? Same thing with the school system, right? When we had, like, did our children have the maturity to do their homework at home without you being on top of them while you were homeschooling? Remember the pandemic? Those of us that had that situation? right? Were you having to oversee them, or were they sovereign enough to do it on their own? Now, what kind of human beings do we want to produce? Do we want to produce the kind of human being that takes this on with responsibility? Of course we do. As parents, we want our children to get to a point where they feel responsible for doing their own homework. But are we enabling them? At which point do we stop? Okay, at which point do we stop, and which point do we let go and let them be responsible? So here's that education system, the religious system. That's another one. It's like the other day I was invited to a wedding or I don't know what it was, and you know, the priest stood up there and he specifically told me, or told the congregation, that I could not get the Eucharist, period, if I had not gone to confession and done my whole thing. And I'm like, is that what Jesus would do? I guess Jesus would have said, no, excuse me, you can't have my bread or my blood because you didn't confess to me. Excuse me, sorry. Do I believe that? No. In my heart, I say no. I think Jesus would have said, come on over here. You're the first one in line, baby. Come here, right? You're the first one that's going to get this bread. Okay? That's what I believe. And yet, that authority is telling me I can't be part of his community. And I use the word his on purpose.
The thing is, I get it.
I knew you were going to say something, Lourdes. Thank you.
And you knew I was going to say something.
Yes.
Here's a different take on it. Okay.
Okay.
If you believe or don't believe, or that he's right or that you're wrong, or it doesn't matter, right? What matters is that you have decided to partake in a ritual that has certain beliefs and certain rules that people hold very dearly. So if you participate in that ritual, then you have to respect the ritual.
I
If
agree.
you don't respect the ritual and you don't want to follow the rules, then don't be there. But if you are going to participate in a ritual that is very sacred to a lot of people, then you just should go along, right? Like when in Rome, do like the Romans kind of thing.
No,
So
and at the end of the day, if I got up and took the Eucharist, no one would ever know whether I confessed or didn't confess. The only person that would know would be me. And my integrity as a mature person chose not to participate in the ritual. And you're absolutely right. But I was invited there. I was invited there to participate in the community of fellowship and family and love in a wedding. So I'm there to offer my love, my gift of you know, acceptance, and yet I cannot participate in that ritual according to which is fine. And I'm using it as an example only because the underlying theme of that system is not in integrity with the action taken. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the integrity stems from a ritual that was created by an individual that, in my opinion, was a personification of love.
Oh boy, I think you really need to do a little bit more research before you go down that route.
Well, listen, we're going to table it because I'm not going to be controversial to that level. But I can tell you that I was okay with everything because I am okay with all of it. But it's a system. It's another system that creates certain rituals that exclude and not include. And basically what's happening is that is the energy or the intention behind most of our systems. And that is what we are traveling through the path of transformation to change. But to navigate that change, and this is the point of this conversation, and I want to come to a place of harmony and beauty here, okay? The point of this conversation is for us to understand the responsibility that it takes to our own integrity and to understand the intention behind the actions that we take as we move forward in the maturity of our own sovereignty and spiritual awakening journey. So we have to understand the intention behind everything we do from this point forward as we turn in to the butterflies that we are meant to be, because we are at a pivotal moment in time in which we can no longer trust our systems to take care of us so that we continue to be obedient children, okay? Obedient children, which to a degree are enslaved to the process. So it's kind of like our owner, the one that owns the property does not take care of the property, and we are the property. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope that makes sense. And I know that listen, I have no idea why they told me to say these things, okay? But here I am, okay? So your thoughts are the handmaiden of your aim. Your thoughts are the handmaiden of your intention. So keep your thoughts and your words impeccable. Impeccable to your sovereignty and consciousness, the one that God gave you. Because you get to decide who you really are. And your actions are a reflection of that. And you will receive the consequences of your actions depending upon how you intend, what your underlying theme, and that actually goes right into the law of attraction and manifestation, by the way, guys. Because if we are to manifest the new earth that we want, the one that is in unity and love and responds to the law of one, if we want to be part of the community that is no longer seeing us as children, we must act like responsible adults. And adulting is freaking hard. Adulting, I remember one time taking a picture of a mug and sending it to my son, and it said, "Adulting is hard." and he wasn't an adult then. And he still is struggling with being an adult. Okay? But he's getting there. He's getting there. And I'm proud of that. And I can say that my children are a reflection. I can say my children are, I'm a very proud mother of children that are adulting pretty well. Okay? But are we adulting well? Are we adulting well? So I ask you to take on this spirit of responsibility, of maybe, like, Lourdes and I got into this thing that saying, I will not partake of this ritual because I am not following the rules that are this part of this system, but I'm okay with my choice because I'm still in integrity. I didn't get up there and lie. I didn't do what in my heart I felt like I could be part of that community, but I was not following those rules. So in other words, I wasn't punching the clock and making believe that I was working at home, right? I was really not working at home. Or if I'm off, I'm off. I'm on, I'm on. But who's watching over me? I don't know. I am. I'm watching over me. Are we ready to watch over ourselves? Or do we want the systems to tell us what to do? Do we? This is the question. This is the ask. This is the ask. Because you know what? Sacrifice is the basis of community. Sacrifice is the basis of community. We must sacrifice to ourselves in order to be part of a community. And the greater community that we are committed to at this moment in time to the creation of is what? A unified humanity. That's the community I'm trying to create. And I've chosen out of those three things that I said, to witness, to participate, or to be a leader of, which is what I am. I am a thought leader of the community of love that I made a commitment to, and that's the reason I'm here. I made that choice. And believe me, sometimes it challenges me. Sometimes it challenges me to just drop out and say, oh my God, it'd be so much easier if I slept in on Sunday. But no, it still comes through. And I still must deliver. You know why? You know why? Because it's a calling. It's a calling. What can I say? And I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it. And it is what it is. And I am here to serve you all in whatever comes through me in the participation and leadership piece that I took on as a responsibility. And I don't know how long it will last. Who knows? I have no idea where the future holds for me. I am open to the inspiration of it. But I'm still very committed to inspiring you to be in the spirit of responsibility that it's going to take. It is going to take a tremendous amount of courage. And we live in a world that makes it easy to bypass that responsibility. It's so easy to bypass the responsibility of standing in your integrity and holding the loving space in your heart that you have the capacity to do. Your heart is now open. You have reached the level of maturity that we are all going towards. And on this journey in Sacred Soulful Sunday, it's taken 4 years. It's taken 4 years. And it's funny because, you know, we think of things as a 4-year degree. We have a 4-year degree now. Are we ready to go for our masters? Are we ready to go for our masters? Are we ready to be masters? Can we become the leaders in our community, in our homes, wherever we go? Can we master this level of sovereignty? I don't know. Are we ready? In this graduating class, who will take the diploma and hold strong to the instructions, beliefs, systems that we've created within ourselves, because no one is watching over us anymore. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm feeling and getting that the big institutions, the big systems that are created around us are broken. And are we ready to take the responsibility to fix them or change them? I don't know. Yes, Lily. Oh, yes. Unmute. Can you unmute? Maybe I can unmute you.
Okay, I did it. I got it.
Okay.
Morning, hi. So
Hi.
I think you took on you did a great job. A subject that's not easy. And I have to tell you that I know that you probably remember me questioning all of these things back at your house a while years ago. And it can be controversial as maybe it showed here a little while ago. There it is. As much as I love you, I knew you were going to say something too. I think I'm going to just tell you what I tell my kids, because I got it here at home. Is I got them to the point where I told them, don't believe everything, question it all.
Mm,
Self. Think for yourself and question it all. And I've seen through the years, especially in the last 4 years since COVID, where they're now on this other side and they're asking the questions that I was asking back then on their own. Everybody has to get there on their own. It's a inner, you're pushing us to that, and you're opening up the thought process or the brain working a different way than we're used to. But it's very hard because being 50, for example, it's I to let go of what I have been taught to believe and understand for 50 years and kind of start fresh and have an open mind and see what is happening. And then nobody could have told me this. People tried to tell me before, and I thought they were crazy, or I thought they were losing it, or I own things that I thought about certain things. And it took me on my own. Even when you and I were working together back in the day, Florinda, you remember, we would always say stories and I would listen. I would laugh and I would think, oh, you reminded me of my mom, because my mom would do that. And I would roll my eyes at my mom when I was young. You made it up. And it took me hearing it on my own. And it finally clicked and I realized things, but on my own. Even though you opened the path for me to go through, that's why I believe God put you in my life for real. I have to tell you it, and that's why you were the first person I came to. And I still remember going to the offices that you had on 3030. I think I remember the number. And I went to pick up a chair from Florinda, and you were there. And I remember telling you, oh my God, B, I heard Esther Hicks. It was Esther Hicks, Abraham, something that was said that made me go, "Whoa," but I had to get there on my own. The thing is that even though you opened it up and you're doing it today, then and it can be seen controversial, like you said. I think you're just getting us to open up a little bit more, and just doing that and asking questions, not believing everything that's just told to us, will lead us in that path. And because we're on this call with you every Sunday, I think we're open to it. I think we're there. I think we are.
thank you, Lily. Always so beautifully said, and with your incredible angelic nature that comes through every time. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you said one thing that I want to remind all of you of. It's so pretty to see all the hands come up. Okay. So you said ask questions. And I love that comment because we must be ready to ask questions. We must be ready to ask questions of ourselves, to ask questions of those that have authority over us. Okay? And we get lazy. We get lazy in our habits, in our ways. I mean, you know, I have that same situation too. Sometimes we're tired, you know, we get tired and we get lazy, and we need someone else to remind us that we have the strength within us. We have the courage within us to trust and surrender to the greatest authority of all, which is our soul's connection to our highest self. Okay? And we have to trust in that connection, but we also have to question what's on this plane and this dimension for us to understand where we're heading and what our part is in that process. Okay? What is our part in that process? Because we may have moments in which we are given messages or given hunches or given, you know, intuitive little sparks to go forward, okay, in that way. And the only way that that happens, I believe, is through asking. Remember, we've talked greatly about angels don't respond unless we ask. Okay, so we understand how it works. We must ask. We must ask. And I believe that we have to be parenting others, but we're also parenting ourselves. It's a very big challenge. And I believe that, yes, I don't usually go down the route of being so controversial or being, but it is this point at which I am being challenged myself to challenge you. And sometimes it takes bringing to our attention something that we do not usually talk about, think about, are aware of, okay? Because, you know, we don't want to think that all of these institutions and all of these different authorities that have reign over us let us down. But, you know, you are very in touch with the education system. You got out of it because you know how broken it is. The testing and the this and the that and the, you know, are they really teaching with good intention? Are our governments really having our best interest at heart? Or is it a whole narcissistic phenomenon? It's about me and how do I get the next vote, right? So that I can become the power player. You know, we see it enact in front of us all over the place, in every single part. Do we really need that prescription for cholesterol? Or whatever? Do we really need that? Or is it just being fed to us because it's just a whole play of how many things they can feed us, right? To make us dependent and bypass our own health. Because that's basically what we do. We bypass our own health. So we've never been in such a good place, but we've never been in such a difficult place. And I can tell you that the world that we are going to witness in front of us coming up with the artificial intelligence that is going to invade our lives, and I say it invade, but I don't say it, I don't want you to take it in a negative context, because it can be incredibly beneficial to us. But what do you do when you use a piece of artificial intelligence? When you use AI, you have to infuse it with your intention. Okay? How many of you have explored ChatGPT? Right? Right. It's an amazing tool, right? Isn't it phenomenal? But you have to direct it. Am I correct? You are the director of that ship. So this is a good example of the future that we hold for ourselves. We will be able to create incredible things, but we must do it with sovereignty, with the integrity of the greater good, in service of all, and not in service of self. And that is going to be the law. And anything that is not in alignment with that law is going to be pushed aside and transformed and transmuted. I believe this because you know me, I am the eternal optimist. Okay? I am an eternal optimist. I choose love. I do not choose fear. I ask you all to do the same. Follow your hearts, question everything, and use your intelligence. Use the intelligence that comes from your heart, not from your head and not from your ego, in service of all. And if we do this, if we're capable of mastering this, then we have reached mastery. And I can tell you, it's going to take courage. We're going to have to leave the victim mentality behind. And it is going to take one other thing, which is an S, by the way, which is an S. It's going to take sacrifice. Because just like Jesus sacrificed, I mean, it would have been a lot easier to say, you know what? I don't feel like going on the cross today. Excuse me. No, I'm going to just find a way to get out of here. I'm going to escape. I'm going to escape because you know what? I don't want to. Why should I? No, no, no. The ultimate sacrifice in service of others was displayed for us. And that's the demonstration, the ultimate demonstration that we must live by. Because even though I don't go to confess, I believe in my heart that I live the principles of his teachings. At least I try to the best of my ability. Because I do believe in love. Yes, Mom.
You reminded me of something that I read a long time ago, and I think you all should try to read it. It's called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. He writes, and we were all children at one time, that as a parent, you are the archer. You have the you have the arrow in your hand.
Mm.
But you are going to pull on it and you're going to throw that arrow. That arrow is your child. It may come from you, but it's going to fall wherever it wants to fall.
Mm. How ironic that I'm a centaur.
And we've all been guided by an arrow.
Mm.
And I just suggest to all of you, because I'm the oldest in the group, do everything while you can, while you still have the energy and while you still have an age to do things. Because as you get older, even though I know all the different principles and your father, we've had the ability to do it together, to study on everything together. Do it while you still can. Not when you can't anymore, when you don't even have the energy to do everything you would like to be able to do for the world.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very ironic that I'm a centaur. I'm a Sagittarius, always shooting the arrow. That's my symbol. I shoot the arrow up into the sky in hopes and dreams that it will land wherever it can help others. And if we're committed to that, and yes, my mom has a point, there is a time frame in which, let me inspire you to believe one thing: there will never ever be another you. ever. This is your moment. There will never be the perfect combination of the soul's journey that you are, embodying in this physical form, in this moment in time, in this timeline, to do the work that we have decided to do in cahoots, in collaboration with the highest authority. Okay, because that's what we're doing here. We're all a little bitty starseed, a little tiny spark of the greater whole. And there will never be a combination that is like you. So feel special. And at the same time, feel part of the whole. Because the grand community that exists, the biggest one, is the entire collective field that we are in charge of, creating order out of that chaos. Okay? And creating order out of the chaos requires, at this point in time, that we take back our sovereignty and understand the responsibility that comes with that. Because that's basically what's going on. The chaos that we witness needs to be changed and evolved to a new form. We need to make order out of it. But the order is no longer going to be dictated upon us. Does that make sense? It is no longer going to be something that we follow like sheep. Okay? We will be our own shepherds. And that is a huge responsibility because there's no one to blame. Do you get that? There's going to be no one to point a finger at and say, excuse me, it's your fault that our education system sucks and that our children aren't being educated properly. There's not going to be anybody to blame. So think about these deep thoughts. I know they're deep, and I knew today was good. I don't know. It is what it is, like I said. Yes, Evelyn.
Hi. By the way, Lily, I was so captivated by what you were saying that I burned my husband's Cuban toast. But I had to laugh because I remember my dad, when he would burn the toast, he would take the knife and scrape it off and say, no pasó nada. Right? Remember that? And you look at the toast and go, oh boy. But yeah, thank God you loved it. But anyway, thank you for that, Lily, because that was so beautifully said. Anyway, I wanted to say that, B, when I met you, and you remember, I used to look at you like you had one eye. I'm like, the stuff that was, you were deep back then, as deep as you are now. And I would look at you and go, huh? Are you serious? Only because, I mean, I was baptized in the Catholic Church, but my parents were not avid churchgoers, no. But at the time, and I think I was 13. A friend of mine, I met somebody in junior high. She became one of my best friends, and she took me to a Baptist church. And Baptist church, they don't believe in all the rituals and stuff like that. So I kind of resonated with that community, and it was my way out of the house because my parents were very strict. I couldn't have a boyfriend. I couldn't go out. So my out was, the youth group, going out on Fridays and Saturdays and having a great time. But anyway, to the point of that, I was going to church maybe 3-4 times a week, because it turns out that it was a small church, and I built a lot of friends and community there. And it felt like a family. So I was going, it was Thursday choir practice. It was Friday youth group, Saturday something else, Sunday and at night. So that was really my religious social life. fast forward, I met V when I was like 18 or so, and I was still there. And she was introducing all these ideas, and I was like, this so far out here that I couldn't comprehend, right? And also the guilt and the shame, because, you know, I don't care about any church. Any church you go to, there's some degree of guilt that if you don't do this, you're going somewhere else. So it's that fear, right? A little bit of
To
a
hell
fear
with you.
mongering, right? So I was like, oh my God, you know, I didn't know what to believe. But anyway, fast forward, I had a bunch of controversial events that happened in my personal life, that the church was divided. Eventually it divided, and I walked away. I walked away, and that was my discernment and time to just really think out of the box and go, you know what, this does not resonate with me anymore. So I've always been spiritual, but it's taken me this long. And you know that I found you again a couple of years ago, and I was like, B, you were right. You were absolutely right. Why didn't I listen? But I wasn't ready to listen. I just wasn't ready. And so you're right, Lily. Everybody has their own time to awaken. And so I'm so grateful for you and for this group, and for this nugget of invaluable information we receive every Sunday. So thank you very much.
But B, you're planting the seed. B is planting the seed. She did that. She did that for me. She did that for you. She did that for Deborah. I know Deborah is not on the line, but how Deborah has always said that one day she finally went, I got it. And she got
That's how it all happened, actually.
So it's important for the seed to be sown. And you've done that for all of us. I think that's why we're here, and that's why we keep coming back week after week.
11:11 right now, guys. It's 11:11.
Wow.
Thank you. Oh my God. Listen,
I want to make a comment before we leave.
yes.
I want to point out how easily you fell at the beginning of the call into your daughter not being able to fly first class.
Yes.
They could make everybody's seat the same size.
Yes.
But if they do, then there's no extra money coming in. So they make you feel like you should pay for first class. It's
Oh,
the
wow.
same plane, same space,
Wow, Lupe. I never
but
even
we get
thought of it
pulled
that
in.
way. Yeah. And the only reason I was concerned about her not being in first class was because she's traveling on this flight for 14 hours, and she goes into surgery when she comes back because she has a torn ACL and a torn meniscus.
My
And
love, you don't need to justify it.
no, but it's
I
really
was just
interesting.
pointing it out.
How interesting that you say that, because it's true. I was more concerned about, my God, where is she going to put her leg? How is she going to stretch that leg out? And, because she's young and she can handle it. I need those first class spaces, but she can handle she's youthful enough to be able to do whatever she needs to do. And it's actually an interesting experience to get to be able to see the contrast, right? Of when you are traveling coach or economy and first class.
Of course.
And it offers you this contrast, but you're right. I had never thought of it from that perspective. And this is the conditioning that controls us, right? These are these conditions. Honestly, that was a revelation, because I never even thought about that in that way. And you know what? If I've only struck a chord of making you think, I've done my job. I've been the thought leader that I want to be. That I want to be on the leading edge of this transformation journey that we're on, guys. I've chosen that. It's what I came here for. But each of you is here on this chat because it's your time too. You've chosen to be here, and you've chosen to be awake, and it has nothing to do with woke. Okay. It just has to do with being awake. And take the responsibility for your awakening and the ascension journey that we are all on in unity and in love. Thank you, Evelyn, for reminding me that I spoke about these things when I was just a child. So it must be
You
that
did.
that's what I was meant to be. It's what I'm continue to mean to be. It's been a long journey getting here, and I get catalysts in my life all the time, like Deborah, telling me, "You gotta get on this call, do this." And now that I'm live streaming, who knows? This controversial conversation is out there. But
Oh boy.
listen, I know, but it's a beautiful thing, because sometimes we do have to speak our truth and talk about the elephant in the room. And, you know, that's the place we're in. That is the place we're in today. So be sovereign in yourself. Be the mature adult that we're required to be. Become your own authority. Ask questions. And do it with love. All I ask is that we do it with love. Thank you guys for being here with me today and for sharing so much. I appreciate all the comments and I appreciate all the input. And I look forward to next week when we will have an opportunity to see each other in person. Namaste. Have a beautiful Sunday.
Wait,
No.
B.
Yes.
B. Can
Yes.
we stay on a few minutes after you stop streaming to talk about next Sunday?
I think so. Let me see. How do I do that? Let me stop streaming. Manage streaming. There we go.